Okay, as discovered in the last video, the trackpad on the RTEC keyboard is pretty useless. The scrolling is no good. The click and drag is awkward, though it is achievable. And pinch in and out is terrible, but pinch in and out is terrible on all Windows trackpads as far as I've ever seen compared to Mac. So, and also the volume control is jammed in there amongst all the other buttons. Not easy to just click volume up, volume down, just by feeling it. So I just got this other one. This is thinking outside the box. In a second it will be anyway. Now, why would I buy an ultra-thin smart keyboard case for something that is a PC? Got to keep it nice just in case I want to send it back for refund, which I might have to because it's not designed to do what I'm going to try to make it do. Is this okay? That folds out. It's not cut in half. All right. So I've got this OBS set backwards for me, so for me to read it would be this way, but I didn't set the screen up properly. I wonder if I can just quickly. Now this keyboard apparently is magnetic, they've said, but I don't know if it's metal and this is magnetic or vice versa. This table is metal. So if the keyboard is in fact magnetic, it should magnetize itself to the table, but it is not doing so. Feeling this tablet, it's flat on the bottom and very ugly, by the way, and flimsy and weak feeling, like it feels bendy. Please peel this off. Please peel off this mask before application. How to connect Bluetooth. Turn on the power switch, press the FN+C. Turn on the tablet Bluetooth, search Bluetooth keyboard device and click connect. I'll show what I'll be doing in Windows. So first of all, there's a power on button just there, okay? Good backlighting. The trackpad is not waking it up though. Neither are any of the other buttons, which was like this one. Didn't wake anything up. Not until the Bluetooth had been connected. It's not because the battery's flat. So at the moment it's got 4 upward facing knobs, which kind of feel a bit annoying in the way. The keyboard size compared to the RTEC is much narrower, and compared to this one, much bigger. And this is the K830, which we could just assume is the same size as that RTEC there. Where do I press function C? Is that what it is? Yeah, function C, that makes more sense. Now there is a little blue pairing button. I don't know what this is going to be called. I assume it's Bluetooth keyboard connecting. Okay, so now we can just test out this keyboard straight away and see if it's a piece of shit. Alright, so trackpad. The mouse is moving, even with this plastic cover. Let me just put this over here for a second. This would all be discarded, by the way, this entire case, because I have no need for it if this keyboard was great. Picking it up off a table is fairly hard. It's not magnetized to this desk, it's simply metal. So it is advertised as having a magnetic keyboard, but I think the definition of the word magnetic simply means metallic. I have no doubt there are magnets inside this case, though, which is much heavier than this flimsy little, potentially fragile and potentially ugly keyboard. This keyboard is a bit sharp on the edges, but I can't imagine cutting myself on any of that. It's just a little bit uncomfortably not nice in the hands, especially when you've got metal against your fingertips. Pressing, I don't want to press spacebar or something that could cause damage. The mouse pointer is moving around the screen. That seems perfectly without any lag. And I'll go on to an interface. Surely I can just tap there. Yep, tapping works. I'll go into just probably something better with scrolling here. And I'll just slide 2 fingers down like that. Already, even with the plastic cover, it feels better than the Artec, but there is still a delay, so maybe it's not better than the Artec. And I'm starting to get the feeling that Bluetooth rather than 2.4 gigahertz dongles could be the cause for this kind of latency. Now, click in the bottom left corner. Oh my god. Alright, okay, so this is very good. This is very good. Okay guys, I've been wondering how keyboards like this have a left and mouse click. Do I have, if I was going to click and drag, do I have to double tap and then drag, or is there a button built into this that we can't see? And the answer is it does have a button. Listen. Can you hear that? Left click, right click. So the bottom left and right corners are just like on a MacBook. It indents when you click it. And they never advertise that that's what it does. And I'm so impressed that it does do that. The backlighting is not coming on right now. And it could be because I haven't set it up. But if I press the control button on the keyboard, okay, good. That's good to see that at least there's still potential for the trackpad to wake up the backlight. Now I'm going to assume that that button there is just going to be backlight on its own. Blue, half blue, and off. Blue, okay, that's giving me white, and that's the brightness level. Level 2, level 1, oh, that changed color. That's not what I expected. Well, now it's running through some kind of demo cycle or something. There's no way in a million years I would ever want that option. So go back to white. I don't know why it went to that demo thing before. Okay, this is now, instead of... Okay, now it's toggling between them all by itself. So off, white, pure white. That stays white, okay? Unless you knock that button. This one is demo mode, I think. So instead of half brightness for the white, it's going through demo mode. I'll do it again, and then I'll click the RGB button. Red stays solid. Red again goes into some sort of demo mode. Okay, that button's not doing anything in demo mode. Okay, I'm gonna click that off. It doesn't do anything when it's off. So I go to bright red. I'll click that. Now that's kind of yellow, staying solidly yellow. Purple, solidly green, solidly aqua, which is, I think... Okay, so if I were to compare the brightness of these two, they're very similar. But I think this keyboard actually looks better for some reason. I'm going to change the color here by doing that and the up button until I get to the equivalent color. So that's about the same color there. And I guess the brightness, that's the level 2. And if I press that, is that going to take me back through demo mode again? It does, yeah. Okay, so you want solid color. So off, and then the first thing is the solid color. Then this one gives me another solid color. See, the thing is, earlier I felt like that was the halfway brightness, but I think I was wrong about that. It never is the halfway brightness. It just blends in and comes up and goes down and changes color all the way through as it does a demonstration like this, which is something nobody would ever want, of course. So it would be so distracting when you're trying to work. Okay, so you want the solid color. Red, yellow, purple, green, aqua, blue, white, red. And in terms of the brightness level, does the function button add or do anything there? Don't think so. Okay. Now I'm going to look at the screen and see how the... Oh, okay. First of all, we would need to see what... If we've set it to yellow, how long is it going to stay for? I'm not going to touch it right now. Actually, I just don't want it to be yellow. I just want it to be... Oh, that's the wrong thing to toggle. You want to be toggling there. I would leave it aqua. That's probably my favorite. There's also white, of course, but that kind of looks futuristic. So I'm just going to leave it, see how long it takes. Still examine it while we're doing that. USB-C charging port, very narrow on the side. That gives you some indication of how thin it is. It has only enough width for a socket. USB-C socket. Okay, that's just timed out. What was that, about 30 seconds? Not sure. Now, I'm going to try to wake up the backlight. Let's pray that if I just move that around a bit, it'll wake up. And no, does nothing. I'm going to right-click on an empty space on the screen. No, didn't wake up the backlight. I'm going to press the control button on the keyboard. No, didn't wake it up. This is disturbing now. Arrow key? No. Light. I'm hoping that's not going to do that and make me... Like that surely would not time out just from... If I was just using the mouse for a while, that keyboard's not going to go dark on me, is it? And I have to keep tapping a control key or something to keep it happening. Because that's what I have to do on this one, which is a major problem with the RTEC. By the way, another thing while we're waiting for this to stop glowing so I can run that test again, is the volume controls here are mute, volume up, volume down, volume up on the right. They're not sectioned separate like on the Logitech. Once again, just looking at the Logitech size by comparison and the width. This is like a little frisbee, thinner than a frisbee. Given the lack of exertion most people place on a keyboard, I don't think you've got too much to worry about in terms of this thing bending and snapping. Because just like any of these keyboards, if you sit on it on the couch, it'll break. Same with this one. This is weaker, but probably not prohibitively weak. But it also doesn't have a nice way for you to pick up the keyboard off a table. Like this one, for example, has clearance, so you can get your fingers under there. This one has a curvature, so you can get your fingers under there. But this one, this lies flat right up against the table, and you've got to use fingernails to get it off. Now, it's gone back to not being backlit anymore, so I'm going to test that thing again. Okay, baby, baby, baby. When it's in the right mode, trackpad does wake this up. That is exceedingly better than the RTEC. By the way, that power cord I just plugged into the RTEC is because I used the magnetic connector. And I could easily just take that bit out and put it in here if I wanted to. Plus that kit came with about 6 connectors. All right, so I'm already liking this better than the RTEC so far. How is it to have the trackpad underneath rather than on the right-hand side? And is this tiny little trackpad as good or big enough as that large one there? If we look at them side by side, the one on the iExtra, that's what this company is calling itself, iExtra, is wider, but obviously shorter than the RTEC. And if we look at it side by side with the Logitech trackpad, they're about the same width, and the iExtra is less deep. So this is the smallest trackpad of the 3. I don't like this trackpad, well, not just because it doesn't work, but because the buttons are too far down. Like I'm moving my fingers around up here, you know, and then I've got to move my thumb down here to click and drag and stuff. This is about the right space here up here where the buttons are on the Logitech. But it could be good enough to have this bottom corner clicky thing down where this is, just there, right? Where I can click and right click. I've got to be careful because I am interacting with the screen as I click these buttons. I will move on to onto Chrome or something so you can see what's going on here. Okay, I'm just going to scroll with my 2 fingers here. If I start scrolling quickly, it'll pick up exactly where I want. I'll try scrolling with the other one. Yeah, just comparing side by side, this is me scrolling with the RTEC, and this is me scrolling with the iExtra. The iExtra is superior, and this is me scrolling with the Logitech. They're all 3 are plugged in. The Logitech is by far the most responsive. It is 2.4 gigahertz dongle. The others are Bluetooth. So all three, the pointer moves around exactly how you'd expect without any lag, as far as I can tell. There's no real apparent lag. And if I slide my fingers up and down on the iExtra, I'm very happy with the scrolling compared to the Artec. So in every way so far, it is superior to the Artec. Left, right click, left click. Left click's doing nothing there, but I guess that's not a clickable area. But if I try to highlight this text here using the iExtra. Okay, so now I'm noticing it's almost like it's struggling to understand the mouse movement while I'm holding the left mouse button down. It's difficult, it's heavy. So it's not coping well with this task, just dragging. That's not good. I'll bring it back in so you can see what's happening here. So I'm holding down that button on things, and then I'm dragging around, right? And I'm trying to drag a marquee rectangle around things and drag it around. Now the plastic is still on. Given how much I like this already so far, and my willingness to just simply dispose of this cover, which is going to be useless to me. If you want to have a look at that cover, I'll show you now. It's a stand for a Galaxy tablet. It's got a case here with a pen holder there, and the keyboard would stay in there like that. How magnetic is this thing to stop the keyboard falling out? Not very. Okay? Very unmagnetic, actually. So the magnets in that case aren't very strong. I wouldn't trust it. I expect that this thing, walking around with this thing and the keyboard there like that, while it is somewhat magnetic, it just falls out. Okay? So, not great for it's not fit for purpose, basically. And in the videos I saw, most of the time they were trying to magnet onto this part, which I think actually is probably their strongest magnet. Okay, and that kind of half holds itself closed, and it would probably work better when it was flush, when the keyboard and the tablet were inside. Nevertheless, this keyboard, and that just worked itself up, beautiful. I'll read the instructions and try to figure out what is going on with the brightness levels of this. Is it just one brightness level and then demo mode? Because why wouldn't any? If something isn't working or missing, contact our support team by email from iExtra, that's their company. There's one sheet of paper. Okay, it says caps lock indicator. Okay, so there's just a little blue light down there, caps lock. Operating distance. It says here equal or greater than 10 meters. I think they mean equal or less than, but they chose the wrong symbol, I think. Or does that mean up to when it's on that side? I don't know. As far as my math memory from grade 3 is concerned, that seems like it should mean equal or greater than, not equal or less than. So I think they stuffed up, not my brain. Standby time 100 days. There they did it, less than 100 days. Charging time, less than. Why does it just say less than 1,000,000 days? Charging time 2 to 3 hours. Battery capacity 200 milliamps. I think they mean milliamp hours. That's because battery capacity is not measured in amps. It's measured in amp hours. So that's not much. I'd say this one probably holds 450 milliamp hours, maybe. I don't know. This one gives me 10 days of battery life. This one so far has given me a lot, but I mean, I'm charging it now, so I'm not doing a proper test on that. Key strength, 80 plus or minus 10 grams. Key life, 3 million strokes. Operating temperature, negative 10 to 55 degrees. Pair Bluetooth indicator. Charging instructor indicator light will flash when battery is too low. There. CHRG, they decided to write. They gave the most letters to the battery charging button, which is not going to give you an indicator. Whereas this one here, if you tap on that battery meter, it'll flash between 1 and 4 times, depending on how many. What was that? 1, 2, 3. So it's 75% charged, that internal battery. Whereas this one, there's no indicator, and also on the Logitech K830, there's no indicator either. So the power switch is here. I'm assuming it goes into standby mode and doesn't waste too much power when it's just in standby mode. But it's always ready to do that at the drop of a hat, which I freaking love. Once again, just changing colors here using the RGB button. It's probably very wasteful they put 2 buttons there. Are there any buttons missing on the left-hand side here? The Windows button, does that work? Yes. It brought up the Windows on the side perfectly. Whereas that one does not. And you'll notice Alt is usually beside the keyboard. So this is the odd man out here. Windows button is there generally, not there. Okay, when I press the home button, it takes me to Google in Chrome. It takes me to Google Chrome. It opens a new tab in Google Chrome and opens it. Absolutely annoying and useless. It's not the escape key. I need the escape key at all times. This is a problem. For me to be pressing the escape key and being taken to a brand new tab, I'll press it again. I'll show you what's happening here. I'm sitting at the keyboard, right? I'm just pressing the escape key and boom. Doesn't exit out of the program I want. It just keeps opening new tabs of Google Chrome constantly. Unless I'm already in it, sorry. If I'm not in it, then it'll open a new one. Go back there, open a new one. Go back there and open a new one. Absolutely ridiculous. All these tabs that are now open. This could be the weird deal breaker. They've always got to have something wrong with their keyboards. All right, so in order for me to escape, do I really have to press function escape? It says long press function plus C button and Bluetooth indicator will keep twinkle. It says iPad. Is this for an iPad? I do have an iPad. I did not know this was for an iPad. Maybe one size fits all for everything. I've got an iPad Air 5. You reckon this will fit? I don't trust it though, because that keyboard doesn't magnetize properly. Doing single finger tap. Just going to test that. You're not going to see what I do. Yep, that works as well as that. Okay. That was just actually just turning the microphone on the phone above me, so you should be 2 microphones right now. And I'll turn that off using the just randomly clicking over there. Okay. So that works very well. Double finger, right mouse button. I'll do it over here. Yep, that works. And also right mouse click there. Works. Very happy with the touchpad, which is the biggest problem with all these other ones, right? Just that escape key, what the fuck? And that means that there are probably going to be lots of other weird issues. And scrolling, three fingers slide from top to bottom is back to home page. That works. 4 fingers click on the at the same time is screenshot. You're kidding me. Doesn't work. 4 fingers click at the same time, screenshot. Nah. Unless I just took a million screenshots and it didn't tell me. I'm just going to double check where they might have landed. No, the wrong date. Sorry. I'm just looking at screenshots where they normally land. And it didn't take any. Doing 4 finger tap didn't take any screenshots. That would have been very useful for me. Cautions. In order to extend the service life, we suggest you turn the keyboard off when there is no interactive for a long time. Please charge the keyboard for about 3 hours before first use. Auto wake sleep function only works when there's no keyboard between iPad and the case. Currently my Bluetooth transmitter is 3 meters back there, okay? In between all my bedrooms and stuff. Let us know of the first time if you have any problems. Connecting will solve within 12 hours. That escape key is a bit of a fucking bullshit thing. What happens if I go to that website? that's just going to take you to the iextra.co website. Okay, so that's not going to take you to an interactive page for this keyboard at all. I don't think it does have anywhere to modify stuff. I am happy with the trackpad even with this plastic on. If I feel what it's like underneath, it's kind of textured like plastic, whereas the X8 the K830 feels a bit more like glass compared to this. It's completely smooth, whereas that's textured with a bit of grippiness, and that's textured. That feels more textured than this. This is smoother than that. How do you do function keys and stuff? I mean, escape should not have been done like that. What the fuck? Because I want the volume to be ready to go at all times. I don't want to have to press the function key for volume. Okay. Now there is a little bit of a problem because there's a lip here. Could make it hard to clean in these gaps in there, so it could get quite dirty. Although that's probably the same could be said for all this as well. The volume up and down works fine. No delays on that. This padlock button does nothing on the Windows. Delete works. Fast forward does nothing in this program. Play pause. Don't know what it's done. Maybe something's playing. I haven't got my headphones in. I don't know. Press again. I just hate all those sort of buttons. Cut. There's a cut button there. Something there. It could be paste. I don't know. Multiple copies. None of these are working inside this program. This button here, the magnifying glass, brings up basically Windows. The Windows. Oh fuck! I pressed escape and I ended up bloody in Chrome again with a new tab. By the way, it's a new tab and a new window. It's not just a new tab that is going on with the other tabs. So you never want that button ever. Okay? And surely you should be able to assign it. Like, why does it know to go to Chrome? Is it because it's my default? I wonder if Regedit would help me with fixing some of these buttons. Like, I want that escape button to fucking work. I mean, to press function escape is ridiculous. Nobody wants to have to do that. I press escape all the time just by default to get out of things. It's one of the four main buttons. Volume up, volume down, escape, and spacebar. And everything else is left and right mouse click. Enter and so on is becoming less and less important unless you're typing, in which case you're talking about all the keyboard buttons being of almost equal value. But spacebar is play and pause on any video. And the arrow keys are very important as well. At the moment, I'm moving the screen up and down with these arrows, which work. The Windows button works, which is very important to me. I'd say that's one of the top 5 buttons. But escape, to lose the escape button, I mean, fucking come on. We need the delete button where it is, so I don't know what they could have done with the volume buttons. I would have liked to think that there was a nicer spot to put them. Maybe just around the edges somewhere, very important, and just keep the function keys all operational. But definitely don't take the fucking escape button away from me. Why did they do that? So far from what I can see, don't know what the battery life is like. It's only 200 and something milliamp hours as far as I can understand. But generally speaking, I prefer this to this at the moment. But this is definitely not something that's going to grip to your lap when you're sitting down in a chair. This is stupidly heavy, so you wouldn't want to carry this around and to make it part of it. But you could potentially, you don't want to have a shitty piece of foam underneath, like turn it, like if you glued it to that, that's not nice. But if you were going to modify this, it does come with this, so if you wanted to, you could potentially slice through this material. I don't trust the magnets in there. So what about this holder here? Does it fit in there? To give it a nicer base? Not quite. It's a bit bigger. How stretchy is this? No, it's not going to stretch that far. If that pen holder wasn't there, it would almost kind of fit there sideways. But it's a pity it doesn't, because that would have been a good solution to make. But then it would be slippery underneath anyway. but at least it would be better looking. At the moment, this is going to slip straight off your lap, okay? It's slippery, not easy to handle, but at least it's got nice grab areas where you can just frisbee it around to people, and that's a portable thing to hold. Much better. I much prefer using that than this, and I much prefer using the touchpad on this than this. The keyboard on this compared to this, let me just go and see what it's like to just type something into YouTube, for example. YouTube, right here. Like I was going to go and type up in here. Hello Kitty. What the hell's happening? Oh, I didn't type up in there properly. Hello Kitty. Enter. That worked. Trump. Enter. Looks fine. You seeing this? So I just used the bottom left click for the mouse, which is great. I'm going to come in here and...
Donald Trump has responded to questions from reporters on whether he would pardon...
I'm going to go back here. At the moment, it's quite grippy because it's got that plastic cover on it, so I'm accidentally...
Tech billionaire Elon Musk has hit back at criticism.
I've got it set so that it just starts playing audio the moment it hovers. So I've got to turn that off. Okay, so scrolling through this is... well, not great, but still better. No, it's not. No, I feel like it's almost like the Bluetooth signal's getting blocked from being too weak or something, maybe. Like I feel like if it was a stronger Bluetooth signal, it would just be smooth scrolling all the time, but maybe not. I don't know what just happened. It feels like the whole screen was resized or something. Not completely happy. Clicking left.
Donald Trump has responded to...
Right. Right click on that. Scroll over here. Try to seamlessly scroll. Okay, so from the left-hand side of the screen, if I put my finger on the very left-hand side of the trackpad and move my finger across slowly, I get across to this point on a 1080 screen. Okay, on the RTEC, I get this far. So the eye extra goes further. And just remember, I've still got the plastic cut on, and depending on speed, you can get all the way across. Okay, so this is effectively what I was just doing. Just doing that, just to do that test to show how far across the mouse pointer moves. But if you go faster, it goes further. It's quite well built, the whole pointer system and how it responds to trackpads. Now, I kind of want to take this off, and I really need to in order to conduct proper tests, and I feel like it's worthy of further testing. So we can conserve that here. And how does that feel? How is the scroll going to respond now that I've taken that off? So scrolling with no plastic cover anymore. It's keeping going pretty smooth. Oh, it's stopping, but that was because of the lazy load software built into... There you go, lazy load. Boom, boom. All right, so I'm going to go up. It can scroll quickly up and down, but this is not fine scrolling. The scrolling is really not much better than the RTEC. The RTEC is obviously better build quality, and it has the escape key, but it frustrates the shit out of me that the RTEC doesn't wake up when you move the trackpad. But the escape key seems more important than that. So this one, if I say, for example, stay, but change color, go white. Okay. Now, if I turn this off, by the way, this whole thing bends and contorts when I go to turn it on and off. Like the whole keyboard sort of plastic bends in half, just turning it on. So now I'm going to move the trackpad. well, the trackpad isn't... Okay. Something weird just happened there. Now the trackpad's not on anymore. Like the backlight's not on anymore. Also, the pointer is not obeying me strictly. It took a very long time for that to sort of wake back up or something. I don't know. Something a bit weird about this now. I'm going to put the light back on. Stay. Why are you blue again? I thought I told you to be white. Stay white. No, I don't think it's going to happen. Go like that. No. Go like that. Then white. Okay. Stay white. Going to move this. Now the mouse seems to be behaving nicely. That escape key is a big problem. Really, 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 really. It's going to frustrate the shit out of me. I'm going to go play with this for a few days, and I'll let you know how it goes. Already I can tell that's going to be very slippery until I glue something to the back of it. But then you definitely want to be able to access the internal components using a, what is that, little jeweler's Phillips head. Yeah. Bit of overkill on how many, 1, 2, 3, that's 8, 12 screws you got to undo. Yeah. You wouldn't glue something over the top of them, but you'd put something underneath so it doesn't slip off your lap, maybe. Other than that, everything's good about this, apart from the flimsiness and the escape key and those weird dedicated light buttons, and people will complain that the Windows and Alt keys are back to front. What do we normally have over here? We normally have another Alt and Control, okay, on all the other keyboards, as you can see. But this just decides, nah, you get one. What's the size like for typing and stuff? It wasn't here to type like an essay. I think for me, it's good. I like it. And I can move my mouse around. Oh shit, someone just moved really badly. Oh, I can tell you what happened. My mouse was hovering over something. I wouldn't typically do that willy-nilly while I'm typing something, by the way. I'd move to it. So when I'm typing here, I'd move to it. And if I'm typing here, I'd move to it. So it kind of... But then, you know, in Premiere, I'm constantly doing controls with, you know, Alt, click, drag, all this sort of stuff. Clicking and dragging seems like it would be, oh man, that's so hypersensitive. You can't, all right. Yeah. So it takes a bit more pressure on the RTEC. Oh, it's the amount of speed, actually. It's the amount of speed. If you keep your finger there for a while, it won't be active. But if you do it quick, yeah. Both keyboards react the same way in that regard. So if I hold my finger there and let go, yeah. So it's just the way Windows is programmed. So does that mean that the edges of your thumb when you're typing will brush against this and fuck it up, like, and leave the program in the same way you would want it to if you deliberately pressed escape? Hopefully not. At the moment, I'm just interacting with the mouse, with the trackpad here, and I'm not feeling inclined to reach over here. I'm feeling inclined to use this. Like, this feels good enough and in a good location, so that's a good test. So I subconsciously chose this one, which means I do like the positioning and responsiveness of this particular trackpad here. Whereas when I was using this one, I felt like I completely wanted to move over here to this mouse here. These buttons, these left and right mouse buttons, feel the same as all the other buttons on the keyboard. So you find yourself pressing right arrow or something instead of the left mouse button. That feels exactly the same as that as you're moving around the keyboard, right? Just feeling it. Now, the volume controls here are very awkward and annoying to try to find. I'm constantly going, no, 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 okay, yes, volume control, right? That's what happens when I use the RTEC to try to change the volume, which I'm doing more than any other buttons on the keyboard, aside from the mouse. And so there's, I think in order of priority, when watching programs, the volume control is they're the only buttons you really care about, unless you want to pause, which is spacebar. And then there are the mouse controls, so you can navigate. And most of that is scrolling when it comes to streaming movies and stuff. And I'm very happy with the click and drag of this one. Okay? Whereas, I much prefer click and drag with the finger down below there and that there, and then I still have my hands free to go up here. Whereas this one and going like that is always awkward. Okay? It's extremely awkward. This one is convenient. And I feel like this trackpad and this trackpad are almost equal in everything except scroll. We have to do something about escape. But then if we do something about escape, we're going to lose the volume control buttons. And the other thing is I don't know how to make escape not a function key and change it all back to default function. And the instructions here don't explain how to get to function keys. And that's my review. No, I'm going to go play with this for a while, and we'll see if the lack of escape buttons annoy the shit out of me. Once again, I feel like there's no strong magnet here, really holding it with enough force that the weight of the keyboard, which is not very heavy, would not just fall off when you're opening and closing your case, especially since the case has to kind of bend. There's nothing really holding, like the magnet is not trustworthy enough to hold it in position. You'd have to be very careful. I mean, once it's sealed shut, it's got enough hold with the pressure of the iPad, and it's got these little rubber. I'm assuming it only works for an iPad, but it has Windows buttons. I'm only saying that because of the instructions always talking about iPad, but I don't think this is designed specifically for iPad. Okay, we'll go and play with it for a few days. Okay, let's wrap this up. In conclusion, when I'm lying in bed, I'm trying to hold this like this and then use the thumb for the trackpad, and it's just no good. And on the lap, you need to sort of have one side held, but you can't because it's in the middle. So for HTPC, home theater personal computer use, it's no good. Not just because of some misgivings about the escape key not being in a good spot or not even working. The main problem with this trackpad is basically, see, I just pressed escape and Google opened, Google Chrome. The main problem with the keyboard is the layout. For HTPC purposes, you don't want the trackpad below in the center. So that means that all Surface, all iPad, all Galaxy Tab keyboards are no match for a proper layout keyboard where the trackpad is on the right, or something small that can be handheld where you're not dropping it when you do use this trackpad here, either where it's above or below. So it's unfortunate that excludes all surfaces, because I'm lying in bed, I'm looking up at the ceiling at my projector, and I'm trying to control things, and this thing is just falling out of my hands. It's just unfortunate. We could even forgive that backside which slides off your lap consistently compared to that fault right there. So the quest continues, and I think the quest is kind of over because there isn't anything really else. I have ordered something from Alibaba, a small handheld keyboard with the keyboard on the right, and I will review that in future videos. As for now, I think I've conclusively shown to myself that I do not want a trackpad in the center. And I am very happy to see, though, that despite the fact they never mention it or show it anywhere, this is clickable, and that's clickable. Okay, the bottom left and right are clickable, as are gesture taps, 1 and 2 fingers. But overall, this layout is no good.